Hey, how we doing? It is our usual live show. The wife is with us early today. I think I got a little shadow going, so we're gonna fix that here. We've messed around with the light a little bit, so in fact, it still looks dark in here. Hopefully, it's not just me. Yeah, I think that's a little better. I've changed the light around. We're trying to make it so it looks a little better here. We've been playing around with the light as well, so if it gets a little worse, I may have to do something about that. But anyway, the wife's got some stuff she's going to show tonight. We went to an auction, so she was pretty happy. She got something she collects. She got quite a bit of stuff here for almost nothing. Well, not almost nothing, but we'll talk about it a little later too. Hopefully everybody can hear us. This week has just been monstrously busy, so I don't know how everybody else is doing. For those in my Patreon, you saw my sales from 2 days ago. I mean, literally the day before I did the video, just to give you an idea on what's going on. So if you saw the video yet, you'll see that, we had some monster sales. And this is a random midday week with some sales. And I'm not going to shout it out here. That's for my patrons. But not to call out patrons again, but there is a new video because I do see several folks from my Patreon group in here. The new video went up about 10-15 minutes before I hit the live button on here. So you've got this one's a long one. It's like 50 some odd minutes long. This is one of the longest ones I've had in a little while. I've kind of had to move some things around. When you do the long videos, you can't do them very well as an what's it, shoot, I can't remember what kind of file, MP4 I think is what we're doing. It doesn't work very well uploading to YouTube, so just FYI on that one there. So we've got that going up right after live show here tonight too. I've got another Bolo video. It's already uploaded. It's already just sitting there. Had I had another 10 minutes, it would have already been live right now. I didn't want to share it at the last second. We were kind of running around. I don't know. Again, I don't know how everybody else's sales are. We'll call out some names in a minute here. We're just going to have some fun today.
Ooh, fun.
We've had a pretty good week here. We've got some issues with my son, but things are going in at least in the right direction. At least we've got doctor-wise and things like that are very pleasant and everything. Financial-wise, boy, I'm telling you, I haven't had a break this past like 10 or 12 days. We've just been slammed on all of our accounts. Even my Amazon account just flew off there, mostly collectible items. So it's just been a madhouse. Like 2 days ago, we did what I used to do almost in an entire month working for somebody. I did it in 1 day. And no exaggeration, the other day was just a pretty good day. That's just 1 day. So I don't know what everybody else sells here. I know I can see some folks in here. Carl, how you doing? I've got Pat's here. I've got Chris, Thrift Shop Hustler. I've already got a bunch of chat in here. I'm going to call out some more names in just a second here. But if you sell what I sell, you don't slow down during the summer. I don't care what anybody else says. I get people telling me that's not true. Everybody slows down. Collectors collect. They don't care what time of year it is. It has no bearing on somebody needing a pair of shorts or a tank top for summer. It means nothing to these folks. This is the time of year where there's not many holidays. So they're not saving up for Christmas. They're not saving up to buy stuff or anything else like that. People spend. I mean, we had to both hop in here this morning and wrap up a whole bunch of stuff. My average sales just on the store that I'm sharing with you are like 32 items a day right this minute. No exaggeration. That's just the one store, just eBay. That's not counting Discogs, Etsy, Amazon, my Homemade by Amazon, or business to business, or any of the other stuff that we do. So, it's really been a pretty big week here for us. We're not spendthrifty, but we're gonna actually buy some stuff for the outside, the backyard.
Yeah, the outside, so I can sit outside without getting bird poop all over me.
Yeah, we're gonna put a gazebo up. It's like a 14 by 12, nice canvas line one, and I'm putting canvas on our porch and covering it up, so we've got like 2 balcony areas then to hang out with outside. We love birds and animals, so anyway, that's a big plus. We'll wait till a few more folks get in here, and Markey's going to show and talk about some of what she does. She's into weebles.
Yes.
She's got an entire wall in our house with shelf after shelf.
I do.
It's like 14-foot-long shelves just stacked one up on top of each other, and then they go around the corner, too, of just weebles, and she scored a pretty good one the other day at a live auction, local auction, and she doesn't usually go, but this one was toys, and they showed weebles in the picture, so she went along for this one and put up with the rest of it, and she was Shitlessly happy. I'm sorry, I'll cuss there for just a minute.
I was willing to punch a couple of people out.
What was it to knife? Well, I won't say that. Never mind. I won't
weebles.
Say that. Yeah.
I will cut people for weebles. I'm just kidding. No, but I really like weebles.
She does like weebles.
And peach Coke. No wine tonight.
Yeah, we don't have any wine tonight.
Yeah,
we're being good today.
Only because we ran out. That's why I'm being good.
Well, we were at the store.
I wouldn't be doing good if I had wine. I mean, well, I guess I would be doing good.
Hang on just a second here. Let me.
What are you doing?
Let me reload. Ours is dragging on our end.
It's always dragging on our end.
No, not too bad. We've got a direct wire in here, and we've got the fastest internet we can get for where we live.
That doesn't mean shit.
Okay, I've called out. We got Pat here. Pat had to holler out the first. We've got Carl. Treasure Experts, how are you doing? No beer tonight? I bet you Carl does. I can't see it yet, yeah. Oh, where are we at here? Coke Zero. Yeah, I can't stand. They always have an aftertaste, it seems like.
They better not discontinue the peach Coke. I will be. Well, there won't be much I can do about it.
There
but
won't
I'll
be anything you can
pissed.
do about it.
I'll have to figure out how to make my own.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, anytime you need something like that, just shoot me a line on Instagram or something. That seems to be the easiest way. I don't check it constantly, but I'll be putting out 1-minute videos on Instagram. I've been talking about it. Now I've got it all down. I've got formats and run some tests and stuff. So there'll be some quality 1-minute videos up just showing clips on some of the material here. It's not always going to be the same thing I show up on YouTube or anything like that. We're going to have probably there'll be a live feed once a month or so on Patreon, and I might do something on Facebook we talked about. I'm not a big Facebook fan, just to let you know.
Yeah.
She's not a huge fan of it either.
No.
I don't, just to holler this out here too, I don't answer too many more questions on YouTube. I know I've done it for a long time. I can't keep up anymore. We get, between all the platforms I'm on, I'm a couple hundred comments a day now. On a new video that goes up, I get like 40 just on that one, and then a bunch more on other videos, the one from the day before, and
you
then
need to make a couple of clones.
Yeah, if I had a couple more clones, multiplicity or something, I'd be all set. But so if we can get some stuff situated, that might change. But as of right now, I don't have time to go in and answer all the questions on YouTube. I'll try and hit some here and there, but no guarantees anymore, just because, again, we broke 8,000 on YouTube, which I kind of missed it, with all the other stuff going on. We had a real busy week, and I said, hey, let's do something. And then sun issues came up, and eBay was just slamming, and Amazon took off, and then we sold it. I mean, like a ton of records, something like 127 records since last Thursday. So it's been really busy, and I don't know why. We're up like majorly, and I might post a little picture. We're up 53% from last month.
Don't jinx it, man.
We've been going up. I'm up 3% from last year for this month right now. Year over last, I'm up 3% right now. Or I should say, last month I was up 3%, and now I'm up 53%. I think that's the gist of it. I'll post a little screenshot just to show, maybe on Instagram and Patreon, just FYI. That's a good number to look at for some aspect of it, but for the most part, those numbers don't mean a whole lot, unless you only sell in a couple categories, because your year over last are only for the top 2 categories you sell in. For us, that changes constantly, so I don't know how they really play out that to make sure it's accurate. So, we might sell a $1,000 item, and then, for a couple months in a row in one category, and it just throws you off. So why don't I let her show, since she's already playing with her toys over here. This is the one thing that she's always liked, weebles. She pretty much knows anything you got an axe on there, too.
Oh, yeah. That's a hatchet.
You'll probably have to let me move over to a different screen so we can see what we're doing here.
Yep.
You have to hold it up so they can see it.
Yep. The Weebles Ranch House. Woo!
Yeah. She bought a lot, and this was in the lot. Now, we heard the box was there before we got there, and it already sold. We were a little late getting to this one here.
Watch out for the Weeble.
How does it open? Oh, there it goes. So there might have been some more stuff there, but she got, for $24, she got all the loose ones she's going to show you. And then we spent $8 on 2 brand new items. She knows these more than I do. I had some of these as a child, but I don't remember all of these toys. She had them. She had like everything apparently. They can't see that when it's.
Oh, okay.
See, it's complete too. She's went through and checked off. She's got every single piece that belongs to
Watch
this
out for
thing.
that rocking chair. And I got the little wig one.
Yeah, I guess
And,
it's like a line of. They had a West set, and the West set was one line.
Bag of goodies were inside.
All this was $24. All the loose pieces you see here. Just this house is $20 if you saw it on eBay. Some of these weebles here go for, $20 a piece on some of them. Some of them are more than that. There's a couple like a Scotch tape weeble.
Yeah. Oh, one of these
He goes
days.
for like $100 and $125 or somewhere in that
And
range.
I got the little weebles hats, which they go for about, what, $8 to $12 a piece.
Something in there, yeah.
But these are mine. Nobody else gets them.
She got about, I'm guessing maybe $140 worth of loose weebles, and then she's got 2 brand new pieces too.
The
And
picnic table's not so good.
You might have more pieces. She's got boxes of pieces for
Yeah.
weebles.
But I did get the water trough for the horse.
Yeah, that's
so
like $8 or $10 on its own
I got
too.
that going for me.
Yeah, she was really happy coming home on the drive.
And look, the little hay forks and shovel.
Oh, you already took off the little axe. Yeah, some of these little pieces here, if you find a set, they're
And
almost always
hitching post.
missing these, or like the hitching post. And we've had enough of these in the past. Usually she sells the ones unless they're in really nice condition or she doesn't have them. So she'll buy these big, huge lots, and then she'll keep the ones you want, and then we usually auction the rest off on eBay as well, too. Well, thank you, Rob. I appreciate
you.
that. Thanks for the super chat.
And these do not belong to the West or Ranch House. They're tumbling weebles. They just came
Clown
with them.
building or something.
I never
circus.
had these as kids. As a kid.
Again, thanks, Rob, on that too. We go through. We drink barefoot, if you know what that is. So just haven't had a chance to go.
It's cheap, good wine.
Yeah, it is. They've won some awards too. But thanks again, Rob. I really appreciate that.
Ooh, look at that. Now, this particular weeble, I talked to my husband about. This was always my favorite when I was a little girl. And I had her, and I always had burials for my Barbies and weebles. And mine died, and so I buried her in the backyard, but I forgot where I buried her. So she's been missing for years. And I got another one.
Yeah, she was honestly really, really happy. Like parts on these, even like there's doors on these. Just these doors on eBay can go for $8 and $10. The handle on here, $8 or $10. So if you get one of these that's messed up, you take apart all the little pieces off of these and you list them up and you just let them sit there. I've showed some Micronaut pieces. They're Takari, which made some of the Transformers, the original G1s and the G-Force figures and all that.
I'll take that.
And the Takari stuff just goes extremely well. I mean, it's just hang on, let's get some of this.
Oh, I was going to show the different sizes. The different sizes of the weebles.
You've got another one too.
Yeah, and I've got, this is my favorite because it's so tiny. This little guy. This is a really old one. It's a peelable weeble. And I've got a...
Why don't you tell them about the difference on the peelable?
The peelable. What do you mean the difference?
Well, show them. They don't
one's
know
peelable,
what
one's not.
They don't know what peelable is. If you can see this one here, you know what I'm saying. They probably don't know what a peelable is. These are two different kinds of weebles.
Yeah.
This one here is non-peelable, meaning that the design is inside of plastic, so it won't come off when it's sitting there.
But they do shrink.
They shrink on the inside, yeah. That's the biggest factor. Now, this one here is actually a sheet of plastic that's been shrink-wrapped with the design around it. So this will chip off, and they'll be just plain white weebles at the end of the day if you're not careful. These are the new design. These are originals. These go for, like, in some cases, almost twice what these go for.
Yep.
So if you want to know the difference, peelable weebles is what you want. If you see these, you've got a lot of them here, actually. There's the lady inside there. Thought you had one in your little rocking chair down there.
No, that was a little dude.
She's got a lot of them, and I'm talking hundreds of weeble pieces.
Just a second.
Why don't you show the box, too? Now, this was $8.
This.
I thought we'd have to go up to 30 or 40, which we would have paid.
I would give my right arm for that European weeble inside there. I didn't get it though.
Yeah, it wasn't with it. This is from like Brazil or somewhere. Unfortunately, the yellow shows off as a little green. It's some Spanish origin on this. The foreign boxes of any toy are really good, and it actually had. It's brand new. It was never out of the box. She's got everything that came with it, instructions and all. So $8. Some of these go on eBay for $120. So, you know, I'm pretty happy with her purchase on that.
My little tub sub with the scuba diver dude. I had this when I was 5 years old.
I remember that
Now
when
I
I
got
was
it
a
again.
child. When I was probably 6 or 7, those were
And
all over the place.
my Christmas weebles.
No, she has other ones that
Santa
are
Claus
sealed.
and Rudolph. Oh, you gotta turn them around now. See.
I went to an auction maybe 7 or 8 months ago last year, and I bought stacks. I mean, like a case of unopened weebles. We sold all the extras, and she kept the best ones of every one of them. So she's got a wall of just sealed packages of weebles and stuff in the box too. So that's what she likes. Everybody's got their own thing. So
Yeah, some
you know,
people like jewelry. I mean, I don't mind jewelry. Don't get me wrong.
she's
but
got that too.
I
so.
would take a box of weebles any day over jewelry.
She's
love
got a lot of
weebles.
them, and I do mean a lot. Maybe one of these days I'll show you some of the toy room one of these days, and it's a full walls of just lined up. Her Weeble stuff is just horrendous collection. She's got a lot of it.
I'm a big kid. I love toys.
She's got tree tots too.
Yeah,
so
the Treetop Family Treehouse.
we'll show you some different things. I've got a blue screen coming in too, so we can not worry about green and things like
Yeah.
that as well too. So I'll be mixing in some other things. We're in the works, as I've said, for other things going on the channel. We are going to have probably some interviews, as I said, coming on. One of the people, actually, I think maybe 2 of them might be on the feed right now. But I'm not going to announce anything quite yet. But I think we're pretty much a done deal on doing stuff like that. And
Treehouse.
yeah, she's got there's 2 tree houses, if you didn't know, too.
There was a Winnie
the Pooh, yeah, and then
yeah.
the standard one, Pooh's Corner or something like that. I think the other one was. Again, thanks, Rob. I don't want to forget you. I really appreciate that. And what was I going on with that? But all this stuff, toy-wise, is just awesome. We do great in toys. As I said, record-wise, 127, I think, was the count, the final count, because I had to have track those to make sure. We're still, no, I'm fine. We still messing around with Cellbrite. I'm not going to put out a video yet. Some of it's my fault. Some of it's the way it works. So, you know, I mess up too. And in this whole Cellbrite thing, I should have had stuff more in a row. I didn't realize all that stuff. So, you know, I investigate everything horrendously. And I thought I investigated Cellbrite horrendously well. And, you know, I guess so, you know, you live and you learn. It's been a real good learning experience. Once I get everything situated, it's going to be great for us.
Somebody's asking if you're taking
Yeah,
questions.
hang on. Let's go up to the top and make sure I didn't miss any questions. Because I know we're probably, we're
I'll just
way
be
up.
sitting here playing with my weebles.
Hang on now. You're welcome to bring popcorn. Hey, Penny, how are you doing? Penny Day in.
And the
Duncan's
seawees.
here.
I should
Ahoy,
have kept
mateys.
all my seawees.
Yeah, if you don't know what seaweeds are, too, they come in a little sponge. And
Yeah,
they're,
it was a little sponge, and you could make them float in your bathtub, and they came with little babies and stuff like that.
They had, the sponge was like a lily pad. They're mermaids.
Expensive now. Yeah, they're little mermaids. They were adorable.
I think I saw one of the seaweeds go for like 70 loose the other day. So we look up stuff from the toy era, from our toy time frame, from the 70s and 80s and stuff. I had 60s toys when I was a kid. My grandmother bought a Madison, I think it is. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. It's like a big space set from the 60s. It was a Mattel set. They're kind of like bendies, and I had a huge base set from that when I was really young for just a little bit of time. And so I love the old toys. I had the large G.I. Joes when I was younger. All that Bionic Man. I had $6 Million Man.
The $6 Million Man. Barbie liked him best. She
Barbie.
didn't mess with Ken when the $6 Million Man showed up.
Welcome, Flippin' South. How you doing, Rick? Hopefully those answers were helpful on those photos you posted up. Those Valentine's cards you had were really nice ones too. Not top of the line, but they should get you a pretty good profit, I would imagine, depending on what you paid for them.
Go down. My weebles.
Welcome as well, Chris. I know I called you out. Dynamic Comics, how are you doing? Black Crystal Dice, greetings. Teresa, how are you doing? Let's see here. Yeah, Pat wife is on tonight. We've had a lot, and I do mean a lot of stuff going on. It's just been one of those weeks, and we've been having more and more busy weeks. I know people say, you're not going to get a lot of sales on eBay and stuff during the weekend or during summer. We haven't had that issue. I've seen advertisements for eBay now, going across on YouTube feeds and other feeds that I've actually been on. I've seen them and heard them on the radio. I don't hear any Amazon ones, but Amazon's already got the name recognition too. So, and I don't think Amazon's big push with the 1-day shipping has been a huge, boost in sales, in my personal opinion. At least for what I sell. Nothing I sell goes 1 day anyway. So.
Where are you on the?
I'm working. We're up to Felicia. How you doing, Felicia? Amazon Seller 99, how are you doing? We already got Flipping South. Hi, Michelle, how are you doing? Glad to have you on for the live. The Brown Bushman, how you doing? Well, hello back again, Rick.
Oh, hi, Rick.
Amazon Seller 99. I think collectibles always do good this time of year due to Father's Day. We did really well in beauty products and handbags, shoes, and sunglasses last month for Mother's Day. Yeah, I did good last month too. I honestly were like 3 to say 5 or 6% up.
Yeah.
On average, every single month, week by week actually. Even in some weeks, I've been way up for that. Last month, we ended up I think at like 9.2% up from the year over last. So that's a pretty good chunk. This month, because of a couple days that we did. Well into the 4 digits, just under one store. We're going to probably be another, say, 8 to maybe 11% up, depending on if it keeps going the same route. I do projections. If you don't do projections, you should be doing those, honestly, so you'll know where you're at.
At least we can help pay for our son's college education.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun. He's got, my oldest one, for the most part, everything's paid for with, he got a lot of scholarships.
Yeah.
He got an intern. He's worked his butt off. And then he works for us, so he's earned enough money to do what he wants. I mean, he can afford to pay for it now at this point.
And then he can take care of us when we get really old and decrepit.
Or just if we want to be lazy someday. Yeah. Big Daddy 1992, how are you doing? She's flipping south is saying, hey.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, Carl, thank you on that. The things haven't changed, but at least we feel more comfortable that, it's not going to be a detriment right now. Our biggest concern is the pre-existing conditions, what's going on. I care about people, and I think everybody should have the right to health care. And I don't care what anybody else thinks. That's just my opinion. Hate it or don't hate it, but, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, is part of the preamble. So, if you abide by what the country stands for, life is a necessity and part of what you are guaranteed by the country. So without health, you don't have life. So, anyway, enough on politics. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, let's move it along.
Hey, Disney Family 515. Again, welcome Dynamic Comics. Sharon, how are you doing? You've added more to Patreon. I will be looking at anything on Patreon tomorrow morning. Tonight, we may cut it off a little shorter tonight. I'm telling you, it's been a real long week. I've got art projects. I've got some deadlines that we've been working on, which I don't talk about here. I think I holler a little bit out to Patreon. The video with the frog that you saw, that's going to be on a whole line of stuff. That's just one character in a whole little world that we've got going on with that. We've spent some time. We've spent some money. I've got employees next week that are going to actually be not doing eBay. We're going to split them up. Obviously, there's going to be 2 or 3 people doing eBay every day, just like usual. But we're going to
get up in the morning.
In the morning, yeah. We'll do that, but we're going to have some working on some art projects too, as I said, because I do art stuff, obviously. We've got a book deal or some book things going on, which we may have some deals going on. Something she wrote and I've been illustrating. We've got a lot of projects going on. It might come to a point if the art keeps going, we're going to hire somebody else, and we may move to a facility that has more expansiveness and has more internet capabilities. So it'll have a studio possibly too. So we're talking about a lot of stuff like that going on. Again, we're working on some animation, so and I've done that kind of stuff since I was a child. So this isn't just me, hey, let's come on and do something like this. This is something I do in my spare time, whether I'm doing eBay or not. I've always done stuff like this.
When I first met you, and we were looking through all your old stuff, I just thought it was neat that you had...
The flip books?
Yeah, the flip books. I can't draw to save my life. My stick figures are pathetic.
In 1978, I just saw Star Wars for the first time, and I think they were voting books. There's still a couple around here, and I did flip books back then, real, like an inch thick books, and I sat there and drew these things for hours. And then I found my parents' movie camera, and I took it apart and figured out how to get it to go one frame at a time, and with altering something in it. I actually broke it to do that, but parents didn't know at that point. It wasn't something that they had even used for years. I mean, I've got 8mm film of me when I was like 5 to 6, and then they didn't do it much after that. So the camera hadn't been used for a year or two at that point. So anyway, it can't be used now. But anyway, let's see where we're at. I don't want to miss anything. Michelle, what kind of stuff do you sell? Okay, Carl, I'm sorry. OMFUG, how many items is that? How many items is in that store? If you're talking about the store that I share with you, we had that store originally like maybe 4 or 5 months ago before we found out about my son. We had like close to 30,000 items. It's now dwindled down with sales, and we've pulled like clothing and a few things. So I think we've got like 24,000 items in that one store, the store that we share with everybody. If that helps. Quantity isn't always everything in store counts, because I could sell, one item for $10,000, every week, or one item for $1,000 every 5 days, and still make more than people that have 1,000 items up. So, I don't so much worry about that. We've changed the structure of what we did, and we're going after it in a bit different aspect of it here. We're trying to clear up space to have more work area for some of the other projects we've got going on, because things have actually started to swing in a direction with the art and stuff like that. So, I want to do this whether we were making money at it or not. I'd still do the same thing. So again, I'm not trying to market or push this. You'll see me advertising and putting stuff up there for the artwork, because it's what I love to do. I worked at Disney. I got to meet Tim Burton and play with the maquettes, the sets, and everything from Nightmare Before Christmas. And that one experience, said that, if he can do it, anybody can do it. Not like he's, just nobody, but just the fact that anybody can do that. Anybody can do anything they really want if they, if that's all that's on their mind, and they go for it. So anyway.
The dog found something to eat, apparently.
Dog always finds something to eat down there.
Get back to the question. Sting!
Chris, sales have been good. Tax return season. I would think most people have their tax return back or have had it for a while. I don't know how true that is. I know most of the people that we know get them in right away, except some of the business owners that we have friends with. They wait to the last minute. I understand it, because you're usually paying when you work in a business like us. $5,000, a $10,000 bill is nothing when you're doing volume, and that's owing. And it depends on how you pay. You can pay quarterly and stuff like that too. So we do quarterly. So you're paying in advance. Well, not really in advance. You're just not waiting to the end of the year where you get stung with a big, huge bill for it. And a lot of people don't set anything aside for taxes, and at the end of the year they end up there being screwed because they don't have enough money to pay their bills. So don't spend the money until you are sure every bill that you have is clear, free and clear.
Where are you?
Chris's thrift shop.
Oh, okay.
Rob. Yep, the better half is here. Yes, definitely so.
Got my Coke and my weebles. I'm
Rick,
trying not to burp loudly, because this Coke is really...
That is some good Coke, and I have to say, that sounds terrible saying it like that, but soda, I will say. I'm not a big soda fan, but the flavored ones, I grew up on knee-high grape and sun-kissed grape.
Knee-high peach, baby.
If I was lucky when I was a kid, my parents would buy a 6-pack of bottles, glass bottles of grape. And every other week, I would get one bottle. That's what my parents did when I was a child. They grew up where you didn't drink soda. Her parents were lived through the Depression, where they drank coffee and ate potatoes for weeks. They even fed the kids that. My mom ate that for weeks on end when there was, the Depression was going on and there was nothing around.
We all just piled in the back of my grandpa's truck, went into town, which was a gas station basically, and he would go in there and he would say, "What kind of Coke y'all want?" And everything was Coke in Mississippi. Dr. Pepper was just another flavor of Coke. and
generic terms.
Yep.
I had to learn that when I was when we first met and were going to Mississippi for the first few times. So I hadn't been to Mississippi until we had met, actually. So now we've been God knows how many times, a couple times a year even in some cases.
We got some good food.
Yeah, I can't argue on the food issue. Po' boys, soft shell crab po' boys are like the best, or just even a platter of fried soft shell crabs are just awesome.
Yeah.
Fried oyster po' boys are awesome. We always go and get as much live crawfish as we can, or we'll have them cooked at one of the local, what was that, the Crawfish Hut? Was that what it was there? And
gosh, I forgot.
We're in Biloxi in Gulfport, and there's one on, I think it's Highway 90, is that what that is? The one that goes all the way up to the coast. Highway 90. I want to say it's the Crawfish Hut. They've got a website. I think it was
the Crawfish Hut. Maybe it was.
It's right next to a thrift store. What was that, Salvation Army?
Yep.
So
Salvation Army.
So if you go through Gulfport, there's a Salvation Army. Anybody from the South, there's a little, tiny little shack, basically, like a cart out there that does probably some of the best crawfish around. There's not many crawfish people out there anymore, like when we used to go there. Used to be one all over. The little gas stations had some of the best crawfish in the world there.
And I like going and getting mustard greens and collard greens.
I don't like the greens, but I'll take the seafood.
And the skillet fried cornbread, too. Woo.
Seafood I'll definitely take. Yeah, I sleep like 4 hours if I'm lucky, Rick.
Does.
So,
It's crazy.
I get up at 5:30 every morning. Usually we don't go to bed till like 12 or 1. A military child, so, I'm used to those kind of hours. Plus, I worked and did 70 hours plus, so you never had time to do any sleep. Let's see here. Carl, I make my own stuff for one store, and others are exactly the type of stuff Don shows. Love the old paper. And paper and antiques are the bomb. I love it. So for me, it's just something I like. I bought them before I sold them and collected neat little odd papers and military items for years. Let's see here.
Right there.
Does she like the Funko then? You're talking about the wife. She's not a big Funko. She likes the Nightmare Before Christmas. It's sitting up here on the shelf, actually. And she's got
I have a Mark Twain Funko.
A Mark Twain, and maybe you... I thought we had a Hawk. No, we didn't have one of those. The Mark Twain she has,
I got a Mark Twain Funko.
We've probably got some, maybe Stewie from, don't we have a Stewie?
Yeah, our son does.
Yeah, I think there's a couple others in the house. I'm not a big, huge fan on Funkos. I like the more realistic, like horror and sci-fi figures and collectibles, personally. I'm telling you, the whole experience, getting to see and play around with the sets, the actual pieces they use to make The Nightmare Before Christmas has pretty much steered me to what I wanted to do, whether I made money at it or not. A lot of the people who do this just do it on their spare time. What's it? THX? I can't think of Lucas's first film. I'm sure Chris or somebody out there knows George Lucas's first film, but he did it, in college basically, on his own. Basically, I'm sure he had a budget and money into it, but I'm just looking at Duncan.
Oh gosh.
Let's see who else is here.
Black crystal dice. They don't have peach Coke there. Oh, the horror.
Bring on some of the animals, Duncan's actually. Yeah, she had her favorite. There's a squirrel that had its tail chewed off, and it was up there. She hand feeds it nowadays. I'll see if I can get a video of it if anybody's interested.
He's the sweetest squirrel.
Yeah, I feed a couple of them too. How you doing, Rope and Reseller? That's because weebles don't fall. They don't fall down. That is true. The tumbling ones, though, are really neat because they got a ball that actually slides back and forth, so they literally will roll down a ramp. And I think it's like a Weeble's Funhouse, I think. Isn't that what it is?
I don't know. But it reminds me of like a big, fat Mighty Bean. Remember
it does.
Mighty Beans?
They're a little taller. Yeah, I get your point. Yeah, that is what they look
like. Just like a big, fat Mighty Bean.
Mighty Bean, yeah. Mighty Beans sell a few of them, but not many of them.
Yeah, I've got some Mighty Beans.
Yeah, she's got some Mighty Beans.
Crap.
Yeah, Peach Coke is pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
There's also raspberry. Isn't that what the other one is?
Yeah, but it's too sweet. I hide the peach Cokes in my bedroom so the kids can't have them.
Our feed just disappeared.
Oh, man.
It is totally gone. Where'd the feed? Hang on, let's see if I can hop to another one, because let's see who that is. Well, thank you, Pat. Thanks for the $5.99 super chat. Again, thank you very kindly, Pat. Pat's a good guy. Check out his channel as well. You don't have to do that to get me to call out your channel, Pat. I don't call out most people except the ones that I chat with and stuff, and Pat's a really good guy. So same with Chris, and Obviously, Carl and some of the other folks are great guys too, but just people with channel. Pat has a good channel. Chris has a really good channel. And Dominic is not on tonight, but he's usually in here too. So, and he's got a good channel too. There are ones that I watch. I have not watched a single other person's channel in like a week just because it's been so busy. I haven't even had one on in the morning and, you know, had it just playing in the background because I just haven't had time. I just cranked some music out and just rocked out and did my thing here when I'm working and stuff.
Here's my boy.
He's got the...
Henry.
We shaved him the other day, so
yeah.
He doesn't look like a big mangy...
He's a good boy.
How you doing?
Yeah, that's a mama's boy.
That's a mama's boy is right. Let me hop down here. Again, thanks, Carl. Or not, I'm sorry. Thanks, Pat. I'm sorry. Distracted by the dogs. We've got two running around on the floor here. Let me pop back to where we were. Hang on just a second. You know my feed does disappear. Yeah, MP4. I'm sorry. Yeah, my brain's been dead today. I totally messed up on words today. I've been just running around since 5-something this morning. Yeah, I don't want to miss anything. Yeah, it's
I can't believe you slept in until 5. Oh.
5. It was 5:30 when I got up.
Yeah,
now,
past that.
yeah, it won't go down any farther, even though I know there's more down
serious?
there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to reload the page, folks. Oh, did it go? Yeah, hang on. There we go. Yeah, I'm just waiting for my feed to pop back up here. It just stopped, and then it wouldn't go past a certain point. Now I got to find out where we were at again. I know we saw that one. Let's see here. Or did we get down that far? No, I don't think we did.
I don't think so.
Okay, now we're in this range. Okay, right around here. Working on my 18-pack of Bush. Well, you have fun with that there, Carl. I used to drink Miller Lite, I think, or Miller High Life back in the day. I don't drink pretty much beer at all anymore these days.
My mom used to get the Miller Ponies.
I remember those.
And I would steal them out of the refrigerator, and I would drink them underneath my parents' bed because I figured they would be looking for me other places and not under their bed.
We used to drink Mickey's Big Mouth, if anybody knows what that is. And then Moosehead you could get up here before it was majorly released. Moosehead's a Canadian beer. I believe it's called Moosehead, I think. It's one of the ones that we drank. It costs way more than regular beer, but it was always fun.
Are we right here?
Stephanie, right there, and Stephanie. Well, thank you, Stephanie. I do appreciate the comments. How you doing, Scott? Do you have a video about paper media in your regular YouTube or Patreon, which I want to sign up for soon? I've got, if you're talking, it depends on what you're talking about on paper media. I've got some on like, most paper items I at least bridge across on regular YouTube. On Patreon right now, I've been going over postage stamps for the most part. The video up today for Patreon is on stamps and a bunch of different things along that. I'm not going to give out much on that, but and the end of it has something special that's not stamp related. I usually like rotate. I'll do partial stamps, and then because a lot of people asked on specifically on stamps, I'm not going to share those on here because I can't give the information to everybody. A small group of people is not as bad as just shooting it out there. We do make a lot on small items like stamps, and stamps are a big money mover for some people. I know somebody the other day who found a single stamp in a $50 stamp book that he sold for $12,000 within a week of him getting that $50 stamp book. So, you know, I know the money's there in stamps, and we've done, I'll just say, incredibly well on stamps.
Yeah, we have.
Better than most other things. In stamps, you can literally get away with just throwing them on a on your platen platter for your scanner and scanning like 150 scans on one single scan, and then just cropping them to the stamp that you're listing. It's the easiest thing to list our stamps. You know, and if you've got a stock, like a clear plastic stock sheet, you just flip it over if you want to do the backs of them too. A lot of people don't even do the backs on some of the stamps. So
right here.
If you clarify that a little more, Scott, I can help you out on that as well too. Dan, congrats on the weebles. I found a Holy Grail this week too. Cheers.
That's nice.
Tom Collins style. Yeah, I do love Tom Collins. I have to admit. The sapphire, blue sapphire, is like my favorite for that.
The gin.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. How you doing, Hotman? I saw your message. I have not had a chance to go back in there and look at that, but I promise you I will. I am very interested. I do pick up military stuff all the time, and I do love looking at it. We do have a collection of stuff here too. I almost had a helmet video going up this morning, but I switched things around.
You might want to go down a little bit.
Yeah, hang on just a second there, babes.
Henry's by my feet.
Optiman, I'm sorting a military storage unit I got Monday. Paid $310, looking at $7,500 in total sales. This might help me avoid the summer slowdown. That sounds like a pretty good score there. I haven't had a good military one other than some buttons I purchased in the last month. And I do have some German World War II buttons in there, too. I would say they would be brown shirt buttons, officers. They have the usual eagle and the whole works on them, too. Something you don't see brass. Most of the German buttons from World War II are pebbled aluminum buttons, and these are really unique buttons. I've seen a few recently on eBay, which you can get away with selling. I'm not going to do that on mine, but they're like $50 buttons. I've got a ton of military buttons we picked up, including some dating back to the War of 1812 on a collection I bought. It's the best collection I've gotten in a long time, but I live making stuff out of Inferium too. I just haven't had room to work much. Talk to my husband and trading out rooms in our small apartment. We are making the master bedroom eBay.
Oh, wow.
We had eBay in our room when we first went full time. We had huge shelvings running across one whole side, so half of our bedroom was occupied. We've since moved, obviously, and
It was not a romantic atmosphere.
No, not at all. Just stuff everywhere, and then it took up all over the place. But nowadays it's all separated, and everything's eBay is eBay, and everything else is everything else. So, good luck with that, Michelle. Sounds like you got it going on. Especially if you're improving enough to want to switch that out, that's a good thing. Let's see here. Stephanie, on eBay, do you promote your listings? And if you do you use the trending percentage or less? If I promote something, I only do 1 or 2% ever. I've never done any trending. I pick the rate. I pick it across the board and just do flat. I've run some tests. I don't think at this point there's any tests that I can do that are going to bonify or not bonify anything anymore because of the way eBay's running stuff. In the past, you could look at Google and search results and compare various search results on wiped computers to see what's pulling up on different spots, and you compare them. We've got a fleet of laptops, and sometimes I'd look at the same thing from like 6 different laptops at the same time. And I've got it signed up to, we've got a network, so everything is assigned a brand new, fresh IP address every time one logs into eBay. So they were all different. Everything was separated. I've got a subnet and the whole works. Any IT person is going to know what I'm talking about. So there's no way eBay could technically pull these together too. We actually have 2 gateways as well, and the whole works for a secondary internal network. So I've got artwork on one side, and then the subnet is for eBay. So you can't just get into one firewall. I've got a second firewall. The point of it is we've tried to judge this, and I think eBay is definitely steering things to a way to kind of incentivize people to do the promoted listing. I do and have run tests on the 1%. 2% is the most I would ever do, in all honesty, especially for what I sell, because it's just going to take the right person being online. How many people are going to want a pitchfork from a weeble set from
me?
Well, besides, what I mean? There's just not many people. So, and on top of that, there may only be one person selling this item at any given time. So, if I put it on sale or offer a discount to it, I'm just giving it away for a cheaper amount than I could have sold it for anyway. So I don't worry about that.
And this can be used for olives too.
Not very sharp. You'd have to sharpen it. You can axe them though. In fact, you got 2 of those.
Yeah, it looks like somebody had a dog that chewed
it.
This
Probably
axe.
A child, I bet you.
Or a kid.
Kid.
Teething.
Hopefully that answers Stephanie's question. Thanks, Rope and Reseller. Thank you, Chris. Hey, Charles, how are you doing? Charles, hey, got my second turn down already, sent a new one in. Didn't reply to this one, hoping to bypass the same rep. I'm telling you, I sent them in the minute I got it back. I just retyped it. I would send a notice, Charles, and say, look, what am I doing wrong? I sell a ton of stuff. I've been doing this forever. I know other people who sell the exact same things. Don't call it any names or anything like that. But, you've been in this business for basically your life. Tell them, what am I doing wrong? Appeal to their good nature the best you can is what I say. I'm telling you, it took me like 31 days. Maybe it was 11 different applications I turned in to get approved in collectibles. I had somebody call me out and say, hey, you don't need approval to sell in collectibles. You just list them in the home section. That'll get you kicked off on Amazon. Don't do that. Don't list in wrong categories on Amazon. Anybody who's been on there for any length of time knows you don't do that. So you'll get yourself in trouble. So you have to be approved in collectibles. I'm trying to help Charles. Hopefully he can get in there. Again, collectibles do sell on Amazon. Just depends. Not every collectible is going to sell on Amazon. We've sold used and vintage action figures on Amazon. They do sell very well. In fact, it was a Batman promo Funko Pop that was about this big. Was the last one I sold on Amazon. That was a couple weeks ago. I got twice what I would have gotten on eBay for that same figure.
Henry.
Charles, if I can find the last notice that I sent to Amazon, if I can go in there and figure out how to pull that back up, maybe I'll send you a copy of what I literally word for word emailed them back on a couple of those, because I was aggressive with getting it unlocked and said, what am I doing? Am I crazy? I just want to sell a lot of stuff on your site. What's the problem? Do it nicely, but that's basically what I did. How you doing, David? Two Davids. Good evening, David Pastor and David Rubino. Welcome, both of you. Let's slide down here. We're going to slide down really slowly. Carl, I track my year over last in Excel. We do the exact same thing. She knows how Excel can be somewhat. She's not up on Excel like I am, but I worked with it for 20 plus years. So if there's a formula that you can put in an Excel, I've probably done it before. Teresa, yeah, weebles, Black Crystal. Teresa, one store up 20%, the other 33% from last month. Yeah, just if you're looking at eBay's numbers, they only compare the top 2 selling categories you have. So if they change or something like that, it could throw off those year over last or month over month numbers. So again, we're 53% up from last month. Right this very second, 53% up from last month. Last month we were up at the end of the month, I think, like 11% or something like that for the month. Let's see here. Cool back at you, Mary. We're catching up slowly. Let's see where we're doing on time here. We got plenty. It's not even 8. Let's see, Michelle.
Right here.
Guys, I tried something this week and it seems to have boosted my sales. I bulk raised my price 20% and immediately did a sale for 25%. That can work, but for me, what we do is we just list them high to start with. I don't play around at all. And the aspect on listing them high to start with, I'm not going to go into a super lot of details because I did do a big, long video just on my inside pricing. I'm not going to give out all the inside pricing, but the gist of it is price high to start with. Know how to price, know what categories you can price it and why you can price it that way, how you can price it that way to start with on your categories. No criticism towards you, Michelle, at all. That, though, practice is why they actually stopped it from letting people, you had to wait 14 days because of that. And again, there's nothing wrong with what Michelle's doing whatsoever. A lot of people do it. I just price them high and leave them for a while. Again, I've got quantity over many people. I've got employees. I've got multiple stores. When you've got, 5 digits of items, when you've got 30,000 items or right now, I think if you count everything we have on eBay, it's in we're still like 54,000 items maybe, 54,000 items maybe, plus if you count 20,000 items, on other sites and things like that, we've got a lot of inventory. So if I don't have to worry about rushing to sell anything. I can let stuff sit way longer than most people can. I know if you got 1,000 items up and it's summer, you're going to have to let stuff turn to get money coming back in to pay your bills or whatever else. So again, but that process or practice is why eBay did that 14-day wait period. If you were in a retail establishment, and again, no criticism whatsoever, 100%. If I worked in a retail establishment in pretty much any state, the Consumer Protection Act involves part of this. So let's say you marked something up 25% or 20% and then did a 25% off discount. You could technically get in some legal trouble with that industry, not here on eBay or nothing like that. So again, I'm not criticizing, but that's what eBay was trying to stop people from doing. I do basically the same thing. I just listed high to start with. So I cut out the middleman so no one can come back in and say that, hey, you raised it to give the discount. Again, nothing wrong with that. It works. Whatever works for you. There's no moral justification that says you shouldn't do that or don't do that, in my personal book, because corporate America would do it every day of the week if they were able to. So, again, nothing wrong. That will work depending on what you have and how you priced it to begin with. So, good point there, Michelle, though. How you doing, Marrakex 7? That's my baby, the one she just had. That's Jinx. That's Jinxie.
And Henry is jealous because I'm holding her.
Yeah, he's down here flapping his little paws trying to get picked up.
Yep, I love you too.
Again, good evening, Markey 7. Duncan, sales are still strong. It hasn't slowed for me at all this year.
That's great.
It hasn't slowed for us at all this year either. Last year was the same thing, and the year before that was the same thing. The point is, a lot of people let go and let off the gas pedal after Christmas and the holidays are done. We floor it after the holidays. This is the time to buy, and this is the time to just be listing like mad.
Yep.
You know, our biggest goal is to get some of the art and stuff like that going up too for Christmas, so we can wholesale our own items straight from a factory and cut out all the middlemen totally on those kind of items. So the profit margin would just be us. You know, I'll fly to a factory in another country. Mexico is where we're looking at right this moment. If I could get them done here in this country at a reasonable price, I probably would, but it's just not physically possible to do it unless I want to give up most of my profits, because when you first start out, you can't charge an exorbitant amount of money on certain items. You have to work your way up to it. So I'm going to be in the, you know, the low end of the market for a while. So thank you, Mary, on the congrats. And again, Rob, back thanks. Let me pop down so we're not getting, or we get some more questions.
Any money in vintage
A ton of money in vintage toys, Markey, as you probably are aware. Trends, how are you doing? Yeah, she loves weebles.
I have dreams about weebles.
There are trends. There is a site for weebles, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, it's the same one I think that has the Legos that I showed. And I don't have it on this laptop. If you look back at what video was it that I discussed it on? The Bionicle video. Look back on that. There's a site I talk about on there, and I believe that site has most every 70s toy you can imagine with layouts, the plans, the instructions, and what goes with what set, if I'm not mistaken. And I can't remember. It's something Toys is in the site name. Oh, Joshua. Yeah, I didn't realize there's green on that box. Again, we're flipping to blue screen. I may even go to like a brown screen or something, because then I'll be safe with a lot of colors. We're filming some things outside to add to the channel too, so I have to go away from green screen now. So
Go down a little bit.
let's pop down here.
The dogs are just.
Yeah, they just want attention.
I know.
The only thing I ever had 5 years old was a stamp collection. We were talking a few centuries ago. Yeah, I know how the feeling is. Thanks, Markey. Yeah, I might do some toy room video. I don't know yet. Yeah, the collector. I love toys. We'd be in the industry and you know, making our own stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have our own toy company if we could. You know, on top of what we do, because vintage is me. Most of what we're gearing our stuff, including the toys and the collectibles, are tied back to like movie stuff that I've seen in person, and you know, toys in general. You know, vintage toys. You know, like the original Star Wars, or for her Barbies and things like that too. Even the kids books we do and stuff like that too. Again, we work on a lot of stuff, and some of them been working on for years until just the last year or two. We never had the ability and time and effort to put into it. Nowadays, we're spending more of our time doing stuff like that as well too, as opposed to, you know, just straight on one topic here. So.
And the Polly Pockets are very.
Oh yeah, she's got Polly Pockets too. Well, thank you, Chris. I mean, you didn't have to do that, Chris. I mean, I really appreciate it. It does keep the channel going. Thanks for helping me. Thanks for helping me out, Don, with my items on Instagram. You're a great seller with lots of info. Please pet the dogs again for me. Yeah, that's Henry. Thanks, Chris. Thank you very kindly, Chris.
Henry's my boy.
Again, I appreciate all the super chats. You know, it's what helps pay for the channel. I spend a lot of time on stuff here, and again,
Yes, you do.
I didn't want to not answer you know, questions and stuff, but I can't do it anymore. There's just no physical way for me to answer all my YouTube questions at all anymore. I'm so far behind, and then it gets frustrating that I can't get to them all. So, you know, I'm gonna look at them, and if there's something really pressing or urgent, I'll try and get to them. But again, I don't do everything on here myself. I have other people that help for stuff like that. So, and the same thing with Facebook. I mean, if I answered every question that I got and all the sites together, I'd spend a couple hours a day on some cases, because a lot of it's like more than just saying yes or no or something like that. They want to know this, they want to know that on items and stuff. I thought there was more people that talked about vintage, but apparently there's not a ton of people that go into specifics like I do. I don't think there's a paper item that's around that I don't touch on or know. And I'm not trying to brag. That's just what I do. I run into big lots of paper daily. And I mean daily.
Yeah.
Well, it's way over there. I was going to show you the paper that we've got already scanned, but it's way on the other side over here. She's been listing cards and everything else like mad. We've got... Again, I had employees for several days just scanning cards, and that's what we do every other week or so. And then that's enough cards to list for, like 3 or so employees for, 4 or 5 days on average. It depends, and then they'll switch off. We'll do records for, a couple days and things like that too. But anyway, let's get to some more questions here. Again, thanks, Chris, on that. I really appreciate that, man. And again, check out his channel if you haven't, of course. Let's see here. In fact, I think him and Dominique had a show together, if I'm not mistaken.
Annie, seaweeds were cool. I should have kept all mine.
How you doing, Annie? Yeah, seaweeds. Annie knows seaweeds too. As a boy, I never had seaweeds, so I didn't even know what they were. Maybe I saw a commercial as a kid, but she's found them in bag lots. Even at Savers occasionally when we had Savers. Pat, love to talk to you one day about Disney and artwork. I've been debating on doing stuff like that too. We're probably going to put somebody else and do maybe some interviews or maybe a couple chats. I'm not one to interview as much on. You've seen the few that are the few that I've had or the one on this channel. I'm asking more industrial questions, I guess. My information, what I want to know is what's going to help the people who watch and help the industry in general. So, like, an art talk would be something interesting I would enjoy, too. Chris does artwork. Chris does stuff like that, too. He's been in the industry, so he's Evilos, if you didn't know as well, too. And he's been around for a long time, so that's the kind of conversation I've been going back and forth with, and like Benny and stuff like that too. He's got his own toy company and things like that too. So that's more along the lines of some of the conversations. I still trying to nail down a date on talking to the box guy and all. It's going to happen. It's just between my schedule and stuff, and I was trying to get it in this week, but then the sales just kept going, and there's not much I can do because we do a cutoff point, and I do try to ship every day, 6 days a week. I ship out by 11 o'clock, and between selling, and pulling out, one day alone, we pulled out like 62 items to ship.
Yeah.
I know there's small items and stuff, and some of them are already pre-boxed, but 62 items, from the house is a bunch, and that's not counting FBA because we've got FBA sitting there too. So anyway. We may be able to chat on something there, Pat. Don't you wish you had those now? Yeah, I wish there's a lot of stuff we wish we had.
What's the most expensive weeble you have? Besides the peelable, I would probably say the ghost.
Yeah, we bought her brand new in the box NOS Weebles Haunted Mansion.
No, Haunted House.
Or Haunted House, yeah.
House.
She bought it brand new. Everything was still sealed in the box. The box was sealed.
Yeah.
So
mint in box.
So had she kept it, that would be her best. But she had to open it and play with it. So.
I did. I opened it because I love Weebles, and I've got my glow-in-the-dark ghost.
We knew she was going to open it. So I even if she said she wasn't, I knew she would.
I knew.
So.
I was going to open that.
Yeah, and we've bought our pieces and stuff. And if you count it as a whole unit, the Haunted House goes for like $150 complete mint in the box, or not even with the box, just mint with all the pieces. And there's the treasure chest, and they're usually the stickers gone.
The sticker and
sometimes with the sticker you can, and they do reproductions of some of those stickers.
And the witch with her hat.
The hat can go for $20 on the right day too. So yeah, they're not super pricey. Some of the foreign ones she has are worth some good money too, because she scored. Not too long ago, a whole set of foreign ones.
The British ones?
The British ones.
Yeah.
And I showed those on an Instagram post too, so.
I want the Scotch tape weeble. That's like an $80 weeble.
BitMEX. What's the other record selling site besides eBay? There's many record sites besides eBay, honestly. We sell records on Amazon, and we do better on Amazon with 1920s Jazz 78s, which is a big chunk. Probably 65 or 70% of the 78s I sell are jazz from the 20s, and a large chunk of those goes on eBay, or not on eBay, on Amazon. So we cross-list certain items on eBay and Amazon, like the higher dollar or the better 78s. I up-price all of my 78s on Amazon because I always get $20 or $30 for every disc more on Amazon. Even with the fees being more on Amazon, I still come out ahead.
Yeah.
One drawback on Amazon, though, you're going to have to realize is when you ship 78s on Amazon, you have to ship them priority. I usually ship them medium mail. on eBay, and I do charge shipping on eBay. And Amazon, obviously, it's a different structure, so I could change that around, but I want to keep my price for shipping within what other people do on Amazon. Discogs is the other site that we use. Now, there's 2 or 3 other sites, too, that you can sell records on as well, too. But those are the 3 main ones: Amazon, eBay, and Discogs. And then we also have done, and still do occasionally, I'll do a newsletter to people that have been buying from us for like 15 years or so. Yeah. I do have some private mailing lists that we do send out to a certain chunk, and I think all but maybe 5 of the people on that list are from England. That's where most of my records go to.
And the one guy from Japan.
Yeah, there's a Japan guy too. There's one guy from Japan that buys all my lounge records, lounge music, and exotica.
He's been buying from us since we started.
Yeah, full time he's been buying, so like 7 or 8 years. Yeah. Every month or so, if I got something he's interested in, he'll buy. Sometimes he'll buy a whole bunch from Japan. He sent me stuff too, believe it or not, from Japan.
Yeah. Right here.
Hang on just a second. I found a Latin record that is red. Is red significant? No, it depends on the record. Now, if it's on a fantasy label, that's when you'll see commonly there'll be Spanish records. Red vinyl on a rock or like a 1950s rock and roll 45 or a 1950s 60s soul record can mean $1,000, $5,000. Depending on the record, but on just a typical record, they made all kinds of red records. Some of the low, cheap budget ones are on different colored vinyl. Like on 78s, you can find spatterware, which if you type in spatter and 78, you're going to see what I'm talking about. And there's many colors of records. I've got a blue one of the only blue speckled I've ever found. It's not worth much, but I'm turning it into a clock just for my own clockness. I've got a clock.
Clockness.
Whatever you want to call it. I do like clocks. I've talked about that before. Carl, question: has anyone seen orders come in where they leave a message tied to an order with a phone number with an extension? I have a few people drop shipping my stuff from Amazon and have seen this recently. You know, I've seen some on a couple items that we sell on Amazon, because we do business to business as well too. I don't care about if they want to buy. If a drop shipper buys from me, I don't care. As long as it's a legit sale and there's no issues with it, I sell to whoever. Even if they make money off me, I don't really care. So I don't spend much time questioning or looking into that unless it affects my business. Almost done with your Coke over there.
Yeah.
Hey, there's Dominic. How you doing there tonight, brother? I haven't had a chance to watch anybody's videos, including yours, unfortunately. I haven't even seen Scott's or anybody's. I barely even watched my own to see what they look like, honestly. Yeah, Black Crystal. I agree on that as well. Let's see here. I'll tell you both. Keep up the... thank you.
Thanks.
Zymergi Oloso. I probably butchered that.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. I would have too.
Yeah, some names I'm fine on, and some names I am not. Let's see here. Where are we? Like a cartoon. If you're talking about like animation-wise, yes, we are talking about animated cartoons. I have had characters that we actually have copyrights, and I own trademarks for some of my characters that I've had for years. When I worked at Disney, I applied to get an animation. I went through the board. They paid for me to take live drawing classes, and I did like a test run. And I'm not one to take that kind of orders and stuff, and I couldn't sit there and draw the same thing all day. I love diversity, and it's a boring job. You'd be in-betweener for a decade before you actually got to do something cool. I know the money was so-so, but as a manager at Disney, you'd make about the same starting off. So, I played it by ear. Let's see here. When you purchase someone's original art, I know you do not get the copyright, but have you ever purchased the all-out copyright to someone's original art? No, I do my own. I've never, ever created or bought something from someone else's. I have had people sign over the legal right to use photos when I've met at a state, and I'm lucky enough to find the owner there. In many cases, you can get that. I carry a tablet with me just because I do drawings of an artwork from vintage items all the time. I started off doing vintage Valentino illustrations and just vintage portraits and things like that.
Like Joan Crawford.
I've done 600-700 portraits in my day, maybe more than that. I don't know. I gave up. I stopped counting years ago, honestly.
Duncan, you're giving away your age.
Yeah, I don't care if anybody knows how old I am. I was born in '69. I'll give it to you right there. Pixelation. I'm not sure what your... I use Anime Studio, if that helps.
And we've already answered that.
Yeah. What do I look for when evaluating vintage newspapers? The older, the better. Comics in newspapers do very well, too. 19th century newspapers, not, I don't know print-wise what you're meaning by print, but newspapers, full newspapers from the 19th century can sell. Some only go for $8, $10, $15 depending on the content. You want content in the newspaper. You just don't want random newspapers. Now, if they're 19th century newspapers from like the 1890s and they have the Yellow Kids cartoons in them, those Yellow Kid cartoons are worth some good money. Especially if they're like half-page full-color ones, too. So
You're talking about the knee-high peach.
The peach ones. Yeah, those are good,
The RC Cola moon pies.
Pepsi just came out with like lime Pepsi, blueberry Pepsi.
I didn't like the lime Pepsi.
I think they got 3 flavors, if I'm not mistaken.
Crawshack, that's what it was.
Crawshack?
The crawfish place.
Yeah, that may very well be what it is. It's literally on Highway 90, right next to the thrift store.
He was in Eunice. I was in Eunice this weekend. It was flooding and crawfish were in the road.
You should have stopped the car and picked them up.
I would have been out there picking up them crawfish.
The brown bushman, I'm not sure what you're trying to say there.
My cat's Po. Oh, that is a. Oh, I love that name, Po Boy for
Miranda
a cat.
Files, how are you doing?
I had a big Norwegian.
Not Southern.
I had a Norwegian forest cat named Grits.
Anton, yes, boiled peanuts are great. We do buy them when we were down there.
Yeah, boiled peanuts.
In the South, you can go into a gas station, a truck stop, and they'll have a kettle of boiled peanuts. There's usually 2 flavors. They'll have spicy, and they'll have just the standard regular ones, too.
Oh, dang.
Crawfish are one of my favorite seafoods there are. I would probably take crawfish over free lobster any day of the week, honestly.
Yeah. Big old.
We used to go to a place in Waveland called Waveland, Mississippi, if you don't know what that is. It was called Little Ray's, and now he's moved it. And we used to get him by 5-pound platters. We'd eat one, and then we'd order a second one right after it. We used to eat the heck out of crawfish. Yeah, who needs sleep anyway, Duncan?
David.
I gave up sleep.
Oh my gosh.
Nothing wrong with that, depending on the state you're in, David. We've been to Michigan. It's free for all in Michigan, so, I'm not going to criticize anybody for anything. We know people who physically, health-wise, it does help, and there are some things that I don't care what anybody says. I've seen the difference with people who actually have children. Now, I'm not talking about adults. I'm talking about children who don't have seizures like they used to because of the CBDs and stuff in it. And in all honesty, at one point in our country, used to have to grow marijuana because every rope, all the sales... The paper, the Declaration of Independence was written on hemp paper. Yeah. So, I mean...
It doesn't degrade as fast.
Hardly at all. I mean, our country grew up on that stuff. So, obviously hemp is not the same thing as marijuana. But, I don't care what somebody else does. Who cares if somebody... Cigarettes are far worse for you than marijuana any day of the week, in my personal opinion, because more people die from it. You don't hear of overdoses on marijuana ever. Alcohol is worse than marijuana, and I drink, so I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not criticizing anybody for doing anything. I've done my fair share of bad things. I'll just say that.
Rick Duke, military child as well.
My dad, Korean War, and I've got his uniform here, and I actually have his footlocker still.
Yeah, sure does.
It's sitting under our bed right this very second.
In our son's room.
Oh, did I give it? No, that's another one. I bought him that one.
Okay.
Remember,
that's right, yeah.
My son, for, I think Christmas a year or two ago, I got him a World War II pilot's footlocker. The whole thing, loaded. He's got 3 of the, what do you call them, the hats? The crushers. He got 3 crushers out of that. If you don't know what a crusher is, you darn well better go look that up. Type in crusher in World War II. He got 3 of those. Yeah. I paid $50 for this footlocker at a sale. Full. A couple of the hats had a few little moth holes, but he's got one real nice one that's worth at least $250. He has the entire uniforms for it. He's got the paperwork. He's got everything but the dog tags from this guy. I got it all for $50 because they thought it all looked ratted out. He's got the spats, every piece of equipment that would have went this, other than his flight jacket and stuff. He got the whole works. The crusher hats are awesome. There's a whole history on crusher hats. So if you don't know military, Hopman might still be on here. He knows exactly what a crusher hat is. If he doesn't, I'd be shocked as can be. 3 crusher hats is a huge thing here. A typical crusher hat in bad condition with moth holes and ratted out is $75 or better. A nice crusher hat on average is $200 plus for anyone. If those three were good, he would have at least $600 back on it. Again, it's a gift. We didn't buy it to sell, so he collects military as well too. He's in the drill team still, so.
Right here.
Walter Wick. I have no idea what Walter Wick is. THX1138. There you go. I figured Chris would know. I saw that as a child. He made that. I want to say he had a budget. I read it before in one of the books he put out. I used to be a fan until he got a big head, but and went back and tried to alter things and make sure Han doesn't fire first and all that kind of stuff. You know.
Come on, let Han fire first.
Yeah, all I can think about is South Park. There's an episode of South Park making fun of that and stuff. I'm not going to go into the details in the South Park because it wasn't very nice, but I love the episode because I agree with everything the South Park said on that.
I liked Han Solo.
You know, I know he hated the movie doing it, but either way.
I did not like Yoda. Ugh,
no, the puppet killed it for me. Nothing wrong with Frank Oz or any of that stuff.
Bear.
It was Fozzie Bear. It's the same person. But puppet wise, they went off on it. I didn't care for the cuddly Ewoks either.
Oh, the teddy bears with
teddy bears,
sticks.
yeah, with sticks. That's what they used to call them. Yeah, and Black Crystal again. Thanks, you got it as well too.
Squirrel videos.
Squirrel videos. Yeah, I'll get a little shot.
Huh.
Well, thank you, David. I appreciate that super chat. Again, I don't ask for that. If I missed it, I do apologize. Our chat is just terribly all over the place again. Yeah. And I just saw that, and it actually bounced when I came up to it. So I think we were just past... Right. Yeah, I saw that one already. I called that one out.
Have you seen the Teletubby Weebles?
Now, Amazon Seller 99, the new Weebles are big. Compare them to the small ones, and you'll see the difference.
Yeah, they are big.
They marked out, and I think they banned those. I think it doesn't pass the modern tube test for kids choking, because some kids did choke on those.
I think like 3 kids choked.
Yeah, I mean, any child, I wouldn't want anything to happen to it, so I get it. But the new ones, yeah, we've seen a lot of those. They've got the Disney rehashes and stuff. She only likes the vintage ones. Yeah, only the vintage ones. I think I bought you a necklace even once, but don't you have a little Weebles necklace?
I do have a Weebles necklace from the 70s.
An original one. I think that was carded, too, and she took it off the card. I'm chill. I just need some of that crab meat. Yeah, crab sounds fairly decent. Soft shell crab or spicy boiled crab. When we were in Orlando, there's it's a Jamaican restaurant on what's Kirkman Road, just down the street from Universal Studios. For anybody in Florida, I wish I could remember the name of it, but they were there for years, but it's the best crab joint there is. They've got garlic and butter
blue crabs.
Garlic and butter blue crabs. I mean, that's the bomb for that area. And then they had spicy ones, too. The other spicy one was a Jamaican spice. And we worked with a real nice guy from Jamaica, and he pointed this place out, and we went there every week. That was like the bomb for crab, I'm telling you. Yeah, there is Dominique. Just like supporting good people and share events. Yes, definitely so.
My Henry dog.
He's a big dog. He's a big puppy, is exactly right. Welcome, Kathy. How are you doing?
Right here. Postcards.
Mark, antique postcards will sell on Etsy. Most of the ones that sell on Etsy are going to be the topical, like Santa Claus, Easter, and things like that. I also sell project pieces, basically pieces that are damaged that people will buy to turn around and make another Etsy project with. Just same thing on eBay. I sell scraps. I sell ripped pieces. All the I just put out a video on part 2 of selling what can't be sold. Everything that we have, I sell. Even the junk, ripped up garbage, I still sell. I just sell it differently than selling it as a full, complete, good, sellable piece.
Yeah, the
a ripped
lots
card.
Are really nice.
We sell every lot that we get. Every scrap junk lot of anything I get. I don't have any right now. I don't have a single scrap lot up because every single one has sold, and it takes a little more time to do it. We've got a bin about the size of a full-sized post office tote. Yeah. It weighs about 40 pounds, and it is just full of one type of paper. That's just one of the bins. I've got 3 of those almost full. One's completely full of 40 pounds of scrap junk lot paper. I'll do a video when we list it, and you can see how it sells, how well it sells. We'll probably get about 300 lots of junk scrap out of that. and that's about average. We usually wait till the bin's full, and then, which takes about, for us, maybe 2 months to get about 40 pounds of scrap, because I buy 100 pounds of paper a week.
Yes.
maybe more than that. Maybe it's more than that. And I'm not exaggerating. That's not some anomaly.
Having to move that, holy... Ugh.
Yeah, and I've got like 4 bins that full. And that's just the bins of junk paper like that. Yep. Some of that paper will go into junk drawer lots, which I have a couple other boxes of stuff just for junk drawer lots as well. So we've got like 7 bins of stuff that we set aside. I'm not going to count the bronze and brass and stuff that we scrap too, because my son usually goes through and he's got bins of his own stuff out in there. He just usually ends up with it. So anyway, hopefully that answers the question, Mark. They do sell topical wise.
Oops, somebody just right there.
Oh. Well, thank you, Carl. Again, I appreciate all the super chats. I honestly don't remember I have them until somebody puts them in there. Again, I really appreciate this guys. I mean, everybody's been very gracious to us here.
Yeah.
We honestly, and I think anybody who's watched my channel enough knows that I really try to put out honest, legit, no BS, no marketing to you content. I'm going to put this out here. I've had many offers for sponsoring the channel, stuff to sell to you guys. I've had many offers, and one of the offers was... it was a lot of money. I mean, it was a lot of money for doing a couple of videos. And for me, for something like that on here, it was a lot of money, you know. I'm not going to give out a total, but it was a couple $100, well over a couple $100 for doing a few promotions for some items. I'm not going to do that. I'm not out for the money that way. I want to protect my brand and my channel, because I'm going to tie myself to this channel, my artwork, my other stuff that goes with this. I've got a goal. I'm not here to racketeer you. The only thing I think you ever see me marketing to anybody on this channel is stuff that I created, my personal artwork, because it's a love of my life that I do this stuff, and I really enjoy doing it. I've done it since I was 7 or 8. When Star Wars came out, I used to draw Star Wars characters for other people at school and get a nickel, a quarter, a dime, and then I'd sneak down and buy Star Wars cards with that money, you know, or Kiss cards, or what was the other one that was out back in the day back then? Shoot, I think I had Evel Knievel cards.
Oh, Evel Knievel, come on.
The whole works, because I had the wind up, or the zip string Evel Knievel car. I think everybody motorcycle. Yeah. But again, thanks, Carl. I really appreciate that there. Let's get back to some question again. Thank you, Carl.
This one.
Remember Mickey's? I remember Mickey's too well. There was a big thing at Disney. It's hidden Mickeys everywhere, and you get all those questions from guests at Disney.
No time for business, more dogs.
Hang on, this feed's all over. Yeah, the dogs usually. There's one that sleeps with one child, and the other one sleeps with another one. Yeah. So the dogs are really part of the family. I know people think that's weird from some aspects, but they still sleep with the kids. Even my oldest son, who's going to be his 3rd year in college, has a dog that sleeps in his bed with him.
She whines outside his bedroom
Yeah, she
door.
whines outside his door. You have to let her in. Yeah, David, you're probably right on that. Disney family, watched your skating video.
Skating rink stickers.
You're gonna. I'm not gonna give out the main source on where I get those. I just can't do that. But let's just say there's specialty auctions all over the country. I drive. I travel. You've heard me say I was on the road for a day or two. I do travel for things. Mm-hmm. There's certain things that I have people that go in 3 and 4 states now that buy for us. Somebody else on the other, I shouldn't think she's getting the dog. Somebody else on I think last week's show was talking about they have sourcers or people they pay. Maybe it was Duncan, maybe even. I have pickers. I have 8. One passed away, as I said, and I've still got a huge assortment of. I got like 100 boxes from this guy that passed. I'm not going to give any names. He was a good guy. He passed away. I helped his wife out. I bought a lot of stuff. Sight unseen based on other stuff I bought from him. So I may have a big unpacking video. I did film unloading it, so you can at least see that it was brought in and everything else. But where were we going with that? Where were we on that? I'm sorry. If you hunt around, you're going to find big auctions and stuff like that. You're going to find people who specialize in paper in bulk, and that's what I deal with. So, I'm not going to give away specifics. Some of the labels, I will tell you, though, I do find at antique malls. And antique malls, for me, are a primo source for many things. And I know most people who don't know what I know will say, how are you going to make money at an antique store buying from other antique dealers? Most antique stores and most antique dealers in general do not mess with the small, little, insignificant items that they think isn't worth anything. I know better. I know the items well over. I don't think there's a. I don't want this to sound like I'm bragging at all, but I've been to every antique store within probably 50 miles from where I live. Every one. I don't think there's one that I haven't been into many times. I know more than them in every one of those cases on paper. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not at all trying to brag, but this is what I do for a living for years. We're going on 8 years now of just selling full-time stuff like this. And I've done paper and stuff for most of my life. I collected stamps. I inherited a stamp collection when I was 7. I collected, that sports cards in 78. I had hundreds and hundreds of them. I had many sets. I collected them from the 60s. Everything you can imagine paper-wise I've dealt with and messed with. Comic books, I've been a comic book collector. Paper-wise, you're not going to stump me on. So I can score out on people who missed the 1 or 2 items at a store or something. The wife knows. I'll only pick the booths with small items, only with paper items and stuff. I always rake out at an antique mall.
Ooh, I'm back.
I don't think I've been to an antique store, an antique mall that was a decent size with at least 30 or 40 vendors that I didn't get a couple $100 in profit. Every single one. And again, I specialize in stuff to get from there. I can't go and get other things there. I can't get, for the most part, you can't get records at most antique malls because most of those dealers at least have dealt with records and know that there can be some horrendous good value in them. Or there's dealers that actually sell records in these antique malls, and the other dealers just show them first, and they buy them from them that way. So I can't touch those. But paper-wise, at any antique mall in town, 50-mile range, I'm no exaggeration. I've been to every single one of them. After living up here for 8+ years, I've hit every one of them many, many times. So I know my stuff. I know how to make the money at it. Hopefully that answers it partially, Disney family. And just go back to the Patreon video. I'm sorry, let me just touch on that again. That goes for specific categories. That's the pricing video you're talking about. I'm using that as an example because everybody knows I sell those, and what the prices routinely are. So I didn't want to have to pick a different category that I haven't discussed because there's so many categories I do that same pricing scheme for Disney Family 515. So just a little further on that. I can't guarantee everything you sell is going to go for that price, but again, price high, as I said, and then work your way from there.
Oh, you're right here, Duncan.
Duncan. Yeah, I'm not forcing anybody to join anything. I've my videos on YouTube I'm trying to keep them within under 16 minutes just because of my time frame, editing time, and things like that. My Patreon videos end up being 50 minutes every one of them. I don't put as many up, but there's more video content with the 2 videos I have up on Patreon usually than there is for a whole week's worth on YouTube. Just FYI.
Oh, right here.
eBay charges the monthly fees even if there's no sales if you have a store. Now, if you're just using free listings, you can keep using your free listings, indefinitely and not pay any fees as long as you don't go over that listing total count for the 30-day time frame. So that's all there is to that. Hopefully that answers it, Bobby C.
Right here.
Yeah, and BitMEX answered that as well, too.
Right there. A reference book for vintage toys.
I do not have a reference book for vintage toys, other than a couple that have sci-fi, and I don't have them for references. I have them for art material and ideas because I love the 50s sci-fi. The frog that I did, the painting video that I did, he's wearing it's a mix between a diving suit and a space suit from the 40s and 50s. That is my key time frame. Look up Tom Corbett. That's what I like.
Oh, yeah. Tom
Look
Corbett.
up Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, the original Dell series. Or any of those. I own every one of those, and I don't own many comic books that I keep, but I own every one of Tom Corbett. I think there's 13 different issues. I know it's not a lot. Some of the first Tom Corbett started in Dell 4-color series, which is like the biggest, at that time, the biggest series of comic books ever created. I think now Action or Superman has dwarfed that now, but at the time, back in the 60s and 70s, that was the biggest one. Tom Corbett's Space is what I like. So the 50s and the vintage, I buy stuff that has artwork and it has advertising in there. It has the box pictures of the vintage toys, and she knows how much I love that kind of stuff. That frog is going to be a resin cast, as well as the other characters that go to that same series. We're actually going to be sitting down with people for voiceovers and things like that as well. We've actually got one person that does...
Oh, he's so talented.
He does incredible voices. He's a friend of our son's. He was over here. They had a little SpongeBob marathon. And Tiny Tim came in and play. If you don't know, type in SpongeBob and Tiny Tim. I'm just going to sidetrack for that and won't bring that back up. But type those two in, and you're going to see the coincidence there. But he was doing SpongeBob's voice, and he does every character on that show. Yeah. And if you close your eyes, you would think the TV, it was coming from, it was on the 10-foot screen we have back there. But you would think that it was SpongeBob saying it. He's not a kid. I keep saying kid. He's an adult. But we're going to have people that this isn't going to be an official, quality thing that we're going to put out. So, we're investing into this. I love the vintage sci-fi. That is my key area. Tom Corbett is the bomb. Space Cadet, any of that stuff. Mission to Mars and stuff like that's not bad as well, too. Or X1 or any of those rocket ship shows. Yeah, hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button. I do forget to say that. So again, thanks for calling that out. We usually get those 3 dislikes that watch it and then hit the dislike. Anyway, you get the same credit whether it's a thumbs up or thumbs down on Amazon or on YouTube here.
He had to be with Mama. Yeah.
Where are we at? What do you sell second to postcards? Postcards are like 4th on my list, in all honesty. Postcards are way down. I sell more records than postcards any day of the week. Maybe not quantity, but dollar-wise, records blows postcards away. That's even with you knowing that I sell postcards for $500, $600, $700, $800 a postcard.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they're fine. Records, trade cards sell better. There'll be days when I might sell 4 paper cards for like $300-$400 a piece, all to the same person in the same day. That's nothing. Paper is the best place, and postcards really aren't one of my top end categories. I sell a lot of them. On average, I sell 6 or 7 postcards every single day of the week, day in, day out. 365 days a year, 5 or 6 minimum every day of the week. Postcards do sell, but I sell just as many records on most days of the week, as well as trade cards. And just paper in general, or even military.
Right here.
Scott, yes, I cover books. I cover magazines, some extent newspaper clippings, definitely photos. All that's covered. I have like 450, 460 videos up on YouTube. Just go back, look through my collectibles playlist. That will narrow it down greatly for you, Scott. If you're in my Patreon group, I actually supply a list of every video I did with a searchable keyword. So you can just type in, like if you're looking for postcards, you type in postcards on that list, and literally it'll tell you every video I have with just postcards discussing in it. I go in on postcards. I have several videos just on condition and how to tell what's what on postcards as well, too. But Scott, there's a ton of videos covering all that kind of stuff. I sell that. You'll see them in my haul videos as well, too. Yeah, you probably can't sell CBD on eBay. At least not yet. Malcolm Mimi? We're catching up. Yeah, the sale alone, Michelle, on that can give you the boost in it. Depending on if you're doing market average, you're gonna be promoted fairly high if it's like a common item. If you're selling vintage and collectibles, there is not really a big need to do much more than 1% just to get that double listing. When you do a promotion, it creates a promotional listing and your normal listing. So all it's giving you is the better exposure from that. It only takes 1% to get that secondary promotional listing available. So that's all I do. I don't need it anymore. I'm not going to give eBay any more money than I have to. Let's see here.
Paper money.
paper I'm holding. Old paper every day back to the 15th
century.
Yeah,
Man.
we pick up. I used to do a lot in book leaflets. There'll be just single pages out of books, and I had them back to the 1400s. And we had tons of them. Most of that stuff came from Mississippi, in all honesty. So anyway, let's pop up back here. Sorry, I had some questions.
No, I was... now I've got dog hair in my nose.
Well, thank you, Marikek. I said Dominic. I don't think I said Dominique there.
No, you probably did.
I may have. Again, I know a gentleman, a person, a man named Dominique. So I never even knew that there was a difference between Dominic and Dominique, because a gentleman I know, he's Spanish, so I don't know if there's a difference between Spanish Dominique and Dominic. I have no idea. There's another name too that I was surprised to learn. I never knew that there's a Francis for a man and a Francis for a woman. And then there's an I is the only difference in the Francis for a woman. My grandmother on my mom's side's middle name was Francis. And I'm like, Francis? Isn't that a man's name? Apparently not. I didn't know that. So, there's not everything I know. So
my middle name's Cleo, and I've known both men and women named Cleo.
Yeah, so you never know. And again, if I did say it, I'm sorry, Dominic. I'll give it out to you there that way. Now, let's not bring that up, Chris. Let's see here. Yeah, Dominic's scolding you there, Chris.
Right here.
Let's move down. Hang on.
I ship 8 days a week.
Yeah, I take Sunday off. Even if I could ship on Sunday, I think I'd take 1 day off on shipping.
Oh, my goodness.
There you go, Dominic.
Chippendales. All I can think of is Trailer Park Boys with Jim Leahy.
The Gentleman's Club. She's working at the Gentleman's Club,
No,
Ricky.
they were doing, they were being cops at the Chippendales.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got Chippendales on there, too.
Yeah.
Welcome, Jude. Did I just miss a whole bunch?
Nope, it's right there. You're right here.
Okay.
The Dominator.
There you go, Dominic. Chris is throwing some shade your way, I see. Oops.
What are you doing?
Just adding. Hang on just a second here. Let's check the time, too. Yeah, hit the like button if you haven't hit the like for me, please. I know I'm bad on saying that. Thanks for calling it out, Chris. Again, I don't pay attention to that.
You should get t-shirts. Hit the like button.
Yeah, I should. Or put some flashing, scrolling text across
with a sad little face, like...
Money for Mars, how are you doing? Duncan forgot the like button. Let's see. Yeah, better late than never.
Duncan.
Yeah, that's why you have to cut it off at 10.
Yeah, come on, man.
Too.
See, Duncan knows.
Let me slide down.
Oh.
Yeah, if you cut down your sleep to 3 hours, you have more time for watching YouTube videos, Don.
Come
we are
on
all
down
the same
for
year of birth.
crawfish.
Yeah, I can't do the 3 hours though. Sorry.
I would love to go down for crawfish though.
Yeah, we were talking. We were just down in December, honestly, but it was too early. It didn't start for another week or so.
Yeah, about January.
That shack there though had some, but they weren't open the day we actually found it, because we hadn't driven around. We had sick people too, so.
Yeah. Everybody got the stomach virus.
It didn't go down very far, did it? I thought I was trying to get it down farther than that.
I don't know. Don't let me touch it, because it'll...
No, it's doing it for me, too, so... See, it just did it.
Oh, better you than me, though.
Yeah, my feed's back all over the place. Okay, well, where are we?
Right here.
Okay, I see that smoke. Okay, there we go. Hustle and Grind. Calgary, yeah, you guys made it legal there, too. I see that. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Hey, Kathy from Brisbane. Kathy is in my Patreon as well.
I know where you can get dog tags from the original machines if you want them.
Yeah, I could show you how many dog tags I have. I bought a manufacturer's leftovers, and we've got a bag of 10 pounds, or maybe it's 20 pounds of dog tags. I may have shown them out in one of my Patreon videos, too, but...
Oh, and he was talking about German crusher hats.
I'm from WA. It's kind of required here, yeah. I'm up here, yes, I've made some good money with German crusher hats. These were U.S. crusher hats. Crusher hats in general, as you know, Hutman, I'm sure, knows why they're called crusher hats too. Look it up if you don't know. There's a big difference. There's a real big difference in a regular hat and a crusher hat. It's a very interesting story. I had to read it, and there's actually books and stuff about why and where it came from too. Yeah, my son's been all over Canada's too. Hey, Mike, how are you doing? Glad to have you on. He is about the same too, Mike, on that. Mike's been a Patreon for quite some time. Mike's a real good guy. Mike's got employee for the first time too. He's got a family member, as we've talked about with other folks too. There's like 3 or 4 now that have family members working for them too. So always good to see that people are advancing to that stage.
Yes.
We could not have got where we're at now without help,
exactly.
without labor, without employees,
Yep.
and not just a couple, not just with family, because you get to a point and your bottleneck is your labor time.
Oh, right here. Oh,
Well,
excuse me,
glad to
yeah.
see, Kathy.
Yeah.
The collections like that, entire collections, sometimes I'll have
Yeah.
people buy, we've had people buy over 100 items from us, one person, one time, one visit, all at the same time. Average price on stuff like that, sometimes $20 cards. I think 111 cards was the most we sold to one person.
Yeah, the cigarette cards are really neat.
I put them up. I let them ride. I don't care if they don't sell for a year or two. Somebody will come along and buy like 20 of them all at once. They won't. I'll maybe sell 2 or 3 cigarette cards a week, and then it'll be a month or so, and then that month, out of the clear blue, someone just has to have every one of this certain kind and will buy every one of those. It happens. It does happen. If you're, again, Kathy, you're in Patreon, you saw all the multi-combined purchases from that one single day that I had, a typical standard day. Again, I picked the day, right there before I made the video. So I randomly picked a day. I didn't pick any specific day for you. So, you can see it's a legit totals on these things.
Right here.
I used to have a guy buy all the blurred World War II's double exposure, rip, torn, etc. People will buy anything.
That's right.
He could have done some project with them. That's kind of interesting. Black crystal dice. Yeah, I may put something up, as I said, on that as well, for doing like junk lots and stuff like that too.
It is time consuming.
Yeah, it takes time. You have to spread them all out. It's like 8 or so photos for a junk lot on most of them. And for us, most of our items, even like wholesale and stuff, I'm usually not taking more than, say, 4 photos for most items that we sell. Paper items, it's only 2 photos. Stamps and stuff, it's 1 photo. So when we go up to 8 photos or 9 or so for a lot, it's time consuming. It doubles our time or so.
And you have to
listing.
zero in on the center, and then maybe here and here.
And sometimes when we do big bulk lots like that, because we're literally, it's going to be like 300 or more lots just with the one bin.
To do it too, you have to clean off the
We've
space.
got counter space. Sometimes it's 2 people doing it. One person setting them up and
Yep.
bagging them in, because you got to write and you got to number everything. You got to bag and count it so you don't mix up which one's which.
Oh yeah.
So when everyone gets the lot number is taped onto the bags. They're big bags. I mean, we have it all down to a science pretty much on all the stuff we do. Like, I don't waste anything. Every single piece of stuff that we buy, whether I sell it as individual or not, goes into a junk lot or something at the end of the day.
Yep.
I don't discard anything. Clothing, I'll take that back. I've discarded clothing. What people didn't want or we haven't done something with, we're just going to discard them. We threw them up on some of the clothing, one more last shot, and I've sold 2 more pieces. And I'm literally not answering questions on the clothing. If it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, next week, employees are taken home for their parents or whatever else, whoever wants it. Scrap is always good, Black Crystal Dice. I will probably put something together on that. Give you a good idea
Black
on.
Crystal Dice has lots of scraps.
It is a slow go to get to 10,000 items and build that bank, but that is what it takes.
Yep.
Time. You are spot on. Got to build the wagon to sell out of it.
Yep.
Of course, Mike's straight dead on there. I know he's shooting for that 10,000 mark. Me and Mike have talked quite a little bit here back and forth. He's one of the first ones that reached out to me. It was interesting. He sells some similar items. He does a lot of vacuum tubes and things like that. So he seems to be the man on a lot of that stuff. He's got a real nice store. So I do look at other people's stores occasionally too. Mike's a good guy. I'd be more than happy to help him out with anything too. 10,000 seems to be the mark that we hit that really turned things around, in my personal opinion.
Right here. The scrap paper.
Oregon Coast. I will definitely then put something to video, because we do a ton of them, and I do mean a ton. Anything that's ripped or damaged or stuff like that goes into one of those lots.
Oh, right here. Easy Crab Shack on Kirkman. I can't remember
That's
the
it.
name.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. I know there was 1 or 2 of them over there, Cosmic Thrifter.
Those garlic and butter crabs. Oh.
If that Easy Crab Shack is the Jamaican folks, that's the one. The one that we went to they were all Jamaican, and it was the bomb.
And we stood in line.
Yeah, I didn't mind. I'm not one to stand in line after working at Disney all day long, 10, 12-hour days, but we do it for that place.
Oh, and another person. I'd like to see that too.
So it sounds like we've got several that want to see that. So
write that down so you don't forget.
So I will do a scrap lot video when we get to it. Well, thank you, Black Crystal. Sharon.
Nice.
Oh, well, thank you very kindly. Yeah, Antique Malls, Disney Family are probably your best source without going to extremes like I do to find those kind of labels. In all honesty, that's your best bet.
It ain't bragging if you can do it.
Yeah, I can do it. I'm not trying to brag, but I can skunk anybody around here in paper. And not because I'm some genius, just because that's all we've done for 8+ years full time. And then I've done eBay for 20+ years since eBay's been eBay. Yep. So it's time. If anybody out there does this for that long and doesn't know their items, you should just quit what you're doing right now. You're going to learn it. Mm-hmm. She didn't know anything about paper. Nowadays, she pretty much can price anything as well, too.
Yep.
And these are prices from us. So
and those cigarette cards, I would love to keep all of them if I could.
I'd love to keep a lot of what we get, but, you just can't do that. It's money.
And Duncan, right here.
Yes, I buy old paper in bulk lots from specialists, so I don't have to hunt for the stuff myself. That is exactly right, Duncan. I've got pickers, and then I've got specialty people that source for us. You're going to have to be a big roller to get some of these people involved, honestly. I'm not trying to, discourage you. You can get pickers. Anybody can get pickers, but the bigwigs who buy, let's just put it this way. I know purchasers from major international companies, from working with some of these companies that deal with collectibles and stuff. I know people who still work at places. I still get stuff from people who work at Disney, from collectibles, from things used in movies, from stills and lobby cards and movie posters. I still get people or stuff from people who work for services that handle stuff through NSS, which is National Screen Service. So we still get stuff across the board from specialists. So but we've done this for a very long time. I worked at a movie theater back in the early 80s, so I have connections still to this day. I used to advertise on Big Reel, and we used to do movie collectibles. Before I met my wife, I did movie collectibles even. I collected them myself even.
I wish I would have kept all my old posters. I had the, the old poster, You Know What I Mean, Vern?
Oh, yeah.
I had that poster.
I can't think of the guy's name, but he's
Ernest P. Worrell, that's it.
Antique malls in this area will almost always give you a discount if you ask. Most antique malls do have a discount plan. If it's a mall, the mall can set it or the individual seller. It just depends on what the individual seller signed their deal on. We used to do antique malls. I used to do flea markets, and I used to have our own vending booths as well, too. I did Webster's as a vendor for anybody from Florida who's been to Webster's, and I've seen other people go to Webster's on YouTube channels, too. I set up at Webster's for several years. We purchased there. I set up there. I knew all the old guys around there. Mm-hmm. People save stuff. I've been into the industry, we've sold as a business for like 25+ years. Yeah. So just FYI, I know my stuff in many areas. I don't know sports. I don't know a lot of other stuff, but I'm not super up on video games and electronics. I know vintage electronics like record players, needles. I don't know the tube radios and stuff like Mike or somebody does, but I know enough to get to be dangerous and to, cherry pick some people. I may not get everyone a huge score, but I always make money on what we buy. Well, Sharon, thank you. I honestly don't brag, and I get people saying, just awful things like you're a braggart and you just like to hear your voice and all and see your stuff on there. I don't like to see my stuff. I'm not anything special or to look at in my book, I'm just a person, and I'm not one. I don't even put my own face on most of my thumbnails. You know, if I really was a conceited wannabe out there person, I mean, don't you think I'd put my own face on every video that I've got out there? You know,
Have an oil painting of yourself for your bedroom.
I've got it on the live video just because I guess I've been too lazy to do a new thumbnail. So it's the same thumbnail that's been up for a while. I keep saying I'm going to change it. You're going to see some major structural changes on some of the things here. The Patreons, you're going to see some major things. You're going to see some video mixed in with some of those to help you ID stuff on Patreon. We've talked about, she helps me pick out some videos as well too. So anyway, Patreon's going to see some good changes.
Right there with the little winky face.
Thanks again, Shireen. Annie is up in the Boston area. Brimfield's I would love to go to again.
Yes.
We flew in there just to go to Brimfield's for a couple weekends in a row.
Isn't that where I got my emerald
Yeah,
necklace?
you got the Emerald Cross there, yep. I could probably almost walk to that place if it still exists.
Right here, Mike.
Oh, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Mike, that video is straight on. That's honestly and sincerely 100% exactly how I do that for most of my paper items. No exaggeration. I'm not lying. That's literally what we do for it. I'm telling you straight out, that is a legitimate, honest, full-fledged opinion of how I personally do my business. So, you know, FYI.
You're a workaholic.
Yeah, I wished I wasn't, but I am.
Right. Do you sell your artwork?
Well, thank you, Shireen. I do appreciate that. Yes, I sell artwork. I do sell postcards as well, too. I actually, as I said, I ordered a second batch, so I've got a second edition of my most popular one out.
Yeah. Is that the one that I did the background? Or
yeah,
not?
that's the one. She did the background for that one, too. We've got that. The frog's going to be a postcard soon. I'm going to give... I do... I can't really reach it. Well, maybe I can. Nah, I won't worry about it. I'll show it in another video because we're not up to that time anyway. I did some... if you watch the video before that, I think it's actually on... I'm sorry, it's on Instagram. There's a video on Instagram, just a little short one. And I show my color tests. Now, those are hand-painted. I'm going to be selling like 3 of those I think I got. I think I did 4. I'm going to sell a postcard with a little actual sketch on the back. And those 3 or 4 ones, I'll offer them to people here on Patreon or on YouTube first or Patreon. Because I've had several people ask. They'll be really reasonable just for you folks here if anybody's interested. Usually I save that kind of stuff, but I do sell some. The original oils or that one's an acrylic there. I don't usually sell. I don't paint in acrylic, so that frog was literally the first acrylic I've ever painted. I got the technique down with the glazes at the very end, unfortunately. So I'm actually going to redo that one personally for my own personal benefit, just to see. So I've got a couple paintings going on this weekend too. I'm an oil person. I use alkyds basically, which is a additive to oil paint, which makes oils dry quick, close to the time frame of acrylics. But you can't varnish them for like months after that. So I'm working with acrylics for the first time. I've done watercolors, which aren't really acrylics if you know your painting supplies. So I'm going to be working with more acrylics just because I can cut my time frame of waiting. I can use a hairdryer on acrylics. I guess that's the point. I can use them on watercolors, but sometimes you don't want to do it on watercolor because you want the drying pattern to create part of the actual paint effects. So I do photorealistic charcoal and pencil sketches. I know I haven't really shown any of the real good ones here. I'll probably do some videos on just some pencil ones. I used to teach drawing classes, so if that tells you anything. Pencil sketches... I'm in the top probably 10% in the country in some of my pencil sketches. And again, I'm not trying to brag or anything. I'm a graphics artist more than anything else. And that's part of the reason I didn't go into animation. Saul, somebody we both knew, could have got me in there. But the booth, and I know it's Disney and everybody, you want to be an animator and stuff. It's not all glamour. You're in a booth with no lights or with no window. You sit there all day long and... You know, I've been into the animation studio many times. I worked with animation with, at the time it was a lady named Fran Kirsten, and you can look her name up. She's a real person. She was head of ink and paint at Animation Studios, and she used to supply me with all the paint codes for all the characters, because I used to do murals for Disney. I did a massive one that's in the behind-the-scenes tour if you take the Magic
tunnels.
Kingdom. It's in the tunnel system. as soon as you get off the tunnel, the main tunnel that they take the guests down in the Magic Kingdom, you come around the very first corner, and the entire wall, it's 18.5 feet, is me. I did every inch of that. They've now plexiglassed it. They framed it. It's a permanent fixture at Walt Disney World, and that's one of mine. There's some other things I did there too, but that's one of the main ones that I did. So I am big into art and stuff like that. I know I'm kind of off topic here, so let's go back to some more questions here. Excuse me.
I got a little bit of Coke if you want some.
I still have some lemonade. Lavender clothesline. Just found your channel so interesting. I saw full-time on eBay in many niches, but have yet to try Imperial. That is technically the correct term. I don't use that term. I'm just paper. I know the old schoolers will say it inferium or inferial or imperial. I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's paper collectibles. I don't, whatever you want to call it. To most people, it's trash what we sell. I mean, literally, most of it's just old trash, people think.
Don't say that.
Glad to have you, though, Lavender. Meredethy, how you doing? Good evening.
You'll have to...
Yeah. Michelle Latham, how are you doing as well, if I didn't call you out? We're going to end up cutting it here in just a few more minutes. Just got a few minutes. We're almost to the end here. I've sold vintage postcards, vintage greeting cards, both sold quickly. Yeah, it depends on the ones. Most I anticipate to be long tail items, but, I usually sell, say, 3%, 3 to 5% of all new items we list. So if I list 100 items, I'm selling 3 to 5 of those 100 items every time, every single time. So if I list 1,000 items, I'm selling, 30 to 50 items out of that 1,000.
And I love the
We read some of the greeting cards, even the backs of postcards. And like some of the real picture postcards or real photo postcards, you have to read the back to see what the location is. So just FYI.
Yeah, I like
She likes the old drawings on the back of the cards.
I like when the kids get a hold of them, back when, and they have little doodles.
She loves the doodles.
I love the old doodles.
Let's
right
see here. Moonlighter. Went to a picker sale last spring, found a tank filled with 1920s postcards. Which I knew then what I knew now.
That's good.
Yeah, I would have probably purchased big, huge lunks of them.
He says trunk.
Yeah, I got what you're saying there. I figure you are from the UK. Let's see here. I hear people say the bonnet too. Raise the bonnet. Yeah, my feed just disappeared again.
Yep, sure did.
We're getting close, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there
right
we are.
there.
Let me go down just a hair. Dominique Wilkins, NBA legend. Yep, there you go, Michelle. Thank you. Yep, trends. I never knew that about Francis, in all honesty. I never had a clue. I never knew. Pardon me, my eyes are watering from clearing my throat. Never knew there was two different words or two different Francises until my grandmother brought it up. Well, no, I don't know anywhere near everything, Meredethy. Let's see here. We're going to cut it off, as I said, in just a few minutes. Let's see if I can get to just some questions.
Yes to the T-shirt.
What T-shirt? What are you talking about?
Hit the like
Oh,
button.
okay. Yeah.
We need to go back down to Mississippi.
Yeah, we were just down there in December.
I would like to take a boat out to Ship Island and Cat Island.
You'd love to see a video showing what your employees do. Yeah, I've had a couple of them been in some videos here. Not everybody wants to be in video, so that's part of the issue. I could probably get the twins and stuff. They just do what we do. They're just listing and taking photos and stuff. That's honestly what everybody does here. Now, like Ian, he packed and stuff while we were gone, and he pretty much ran it while we were gone. So, I've got people that take over when I'm not here. For the most part, my employees do pretty much, they don't price. None of the employees price other than me and the wife. Mm-hmm. So the employees will list, they'll scan the photograph, sort, help label, even process sometimes. My kids do certain things too, so.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
And you took care of my tortoise when you were
Yeah,
away.
I took care of the tortoise. Kathy, yes, I had these for a few months with nothing then. Bam.
You okay?
Yeah, sorry. Always am aiming for those type of sales. Yeah, they're long tail. You're just going to have to put them up, most of the vintage, and the right person is going to have to be online at the right time. Otherwise, they're just going to be sitting there. It just takes the right person. That's why I don't take much of the paper stuff down. The other day I was going to pull something down, and I was procrastinating. It got to be busy. I got tied up. 2 days later, this stuff sold before I even... And I'm like, oh, I was so glad. I even told her. I said, I was just going to take those down. And somebody bought a whole mess of these items. Let's see here. Shireen, thank you for teaching us the vintage fishing as well. Thank you. Boy, oh boy. I guess talking for a couple hours isn't good on your throat.
I have a couple of Ludens for you.
Yeah, I think we'll have to cut it here because I hear my phone going off again, and it's almost the 9 o'clock hour. So, again, I'm not able to answer most questions on YouTube, and I do apologize for that. So, if there's something you need, you can always hit me up on the live feed. I do answer all the Patreons, and again, I'm not trying to push anybody to go to Patreon. I don't even bring it up sometimes, but I do answer all those. People do pay for Patreon. It's just the way it has to be, unfortunately. I don't have enough time in the day to do everything. And I do produce, a ton more content on Patreon. Yesterday, I think I put a video up, or maybe it was the day before, and I got another video up today. I at least do close to 2 hours a week in just Patreon videos lengthwise, because I think they're like 40 to 50 minutes each video on those. Again, I have shortened my YouTube videos because I get a lot of complaints that they're too long on there. So I'm doing more generalized videos on YouTube because that seems to be what more people want. If you want the specialty, unfortunately, it's going to be mostly on Patreon just because there's not enough of me to go around. So
Cloning.
Cloning, if we had that would be a good plus. But, I do what I can when I can. That's about it, I guess, for today. So I'm glad everybody was on today. Wife shared some stuff, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Maybe we'll get her to talk some more about it, and we can show some of the other toys that are part of her collection for those that may be interested. There's people that just sell stuff like that. So anyway, hopefully y'all have a good evening. Hope you have some good sales, and we'll say goodbye. Good evening to you.
Bye.